What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're discussing a double game week announcement for game week 25. I will just say, spoiler alert, it's not the biggest announcement. It's a little bit of an anti-climax when the fixtures actually got released because there's only two teams that are doubling. But we're going to discuss it as always, right? It's an FPL channel. We discuss FPL news, what it might mean, whether it really changed anything. I think the big thing is going to be captaincy in 25, which players to bring in, and obviously what to do about Salah as well. So if you do enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and we'll do a one take type thing, right? Okay, so game week 25 double, this is what's been announced. Man United will have a double game week against Southampton at home and Brighton at home, and Brighton will have a double game week against Watford away, and of course they play Man United as well, so they play Man United away. So on the face of things, it's not super interesting because we wanted not necessarily more doubles in 25, but we were hoping that some double game week 26 fixtures would be announced. Now, it's not to say that these are the only fixtures we're going to hear about, but these are the only fixtures so far. It was all to do with kind of TV, which TV picks and stuff like that. So they might still rearrange some games into 25 or 26, but we haven't found out about them yet. It would have made sense to do it all at once, so maybe it's not happening. We'll have to wait and see. So far, this is what we know. It's not actually, by the way, at the time of recording, in the FPL site, yeah? I don't know why, because usually they're pretty instant about updating it, so I don't know if we're going to hear some more news soon. That could just be me speculating, right? There might be nothing in it. So, in the face of it, Man United's double is not... I know Man United defence has not been great, but the double game week is pretty good, right? 2 home games. Brighton are not necessarily the best attack. Southampton might be a little bit more difficult, but you could get one clean sheet there potentially from those 2 games, plus appearance points in the other one, maybe an attack and return or some save points if it's a goalkeeper. I think for Brighton, getting to play Watford is pretty handy. Now, obviously, Watford do have a new manager in Roy Hodgson. We'll have to see if he can turn things around, but I think it's going to take time, and I'm not sure Roy Hodgson is that good that Watford are going to suddenly become this really difficult team to face. Obviously, he's still working with the same squad, etc. So that's a good fixture. And Man United away, tricky-ish, right? I don't see Brighton scoring too many goals anyway, but I still rate their defence fairly decently, so I don't think even bringing in a defender would be that bad, okay? So let's take a look at each team individually, because it's always important not just to look at the fixtures in the double game week, but obviously the fixtures around it, because you want to know whether you're bringing in a player for the short term or potentially for the long term. Some of you might say that I stole this graphic from the fixtures video yesterday. I would just say I efficiently repurposed it for a different video. But yes, these are maybe some of the Man United players you can target. We'll talk about some others in a minute. Just on terms of short-term versus long-term picks, the fixtures are actually pretty good for Man United, right? I'm not trying to sit... I know, like, I always get comments. Anytime I talk about Man United, someone says I'm biased, even if I sit here and say you shouldn't buy any of them. But the fixtures are pretty good. I get it. Man United are not a free-scoring team. They're not like Liverpool. They're not like Man City. Defensively, they've been poor as well, although the West Ham game was maybe showing signs of some better defensive performances. We'll have to wait and see if that plays out in the long term. But I think Burnley, then a double game week, then Leeds, then Watford is not that bad. So again, if you're in a position to have Salah and one of Ronaldo or Fernandes to captain in game week 25, and look, everyone can sit here right now and tell me 2 weeks out from the game week 24 deadline, you're all going to captain Salah in 25. You don't care about Man United players. Trust me, everyone's going to captain a Man United player in game week 25. I almost guarantee it. It's not that bad of a fixture run. So Fernandes and Ronaldo are the obvious targets. For me, I don't think that Fernandes is necessarily ahead of Ronaldo. Like, I don't think Ronaldo is this really bad pick all of a sudden. But the player that I would go for is whichever one you can fit into your team the easiest. So if you've got a one transfer move, and that's to get Ronaldo in, or a one transfer move to get Fernandes in to then ship off to Salah maybe later on, then Fernandes is the one I go for. If you can get Ronaldo easier, he's probably the one to go for. I don't think there's that much difference right now in captaincy for those two. They should both play both games. You'd imagine, obviously, Ronaldo's on penalties as well. So I would probably look to try and have one by game week 25. And if you get stuck with them afterwards, Leeds away, Watford at home is not that bad. Defensively, De Gea is arguably not the only one who's nailed on, but the only one you'd probably expect to be nailed on and want to buy. I think for 5.2 million, it's not that bad. If we just have a quick look at the fixtures after Watford, you got Man City and Spurs, not ideal. Then Liverpool. So really, it is just kind of a 4 game week period. You're probably looking at buying these players. Man United do still Sorry, don't have any other fixtures to rearrange after this one. So this is the only one. So they're not going to have a bunch of double game weeks down the line. So that's something to bear in mind. But for the next 4 weeks, they could be okay. So I think De Gea is okay, because even with the tough fixtures, there's potential save points. Dalot at 4.5 million, if I can get the words out. Same as what I said in the fixtures video yesterday. I think he's first choice. And he probably will start both of these games, but I don't think you can absolutely guarantee it if Wan-Bissaka is fit. But I think Dalot out of the defenders is probably the best option. Varane is probably the most nailed defender we have right now at Man United, but he's quite expensive. I'm just not sure I would go there, really, unless you got cash to burn, transfers to burn and stuff like that. Telles is an interesting pick if Luke Shaw is still injured by that point, but again, it could be quite a short-term move. The other one that I've not really listed here or spoken about is Elanga. I think he's like 4.8 or 4.9 million, so it isn't that bad of a price. But again, I just worry about those kind of wider wing spots, right? Alongside Ronaldo. Again, it could be Rashford, it could be Greenwood, it could be Elanga, could be Sancho. I don't know. I just don't see us playing out the next kind of 2 to 3 to 4 game weeks and not seeing Sancho or Rashford get any starts whatsoever. Who knows? If Ranić thinks that the team with Elanga and Greenwood is going to just push on, then fair enough. But I just don't see those players getting benched. Of course, Elanga, let's just double check what his price is before I say it. I think he's 4.8. Is cheap, so he's benchable, right? Even if he started missing out, you could just put him on your bench. Yeah, he's 4.8 million. He has started the last 3, I think now. Yeah, 3 games, got 1 goal. He's looked pretty lively. I think he looks pretty good. So you could go for him as a punt, but I do think, I don't know, for 4.8 million, maybe it's not that bad. I just wouldn't rely on constant returns. But if he gets you kind of 2 returns in a double game week for 4.8 million, that's pretty good. So he could just be bench fodder after that. I don't think anytime soon we're going to be super worried that we can't get to triple Man United. So Elanga maybe is not the worst punt. And if you're not bringing him in right away, you could always see how he does against Burnley if he starts again before getting into the double. So that is one to consider as kind of an outside punt. It probably is the players that I've got listed on screen here. For Brighton, I had to create a new graphic because I couldn't just take it from the fixtures video. It's a little bit, I don't think it's necessarily different. I still think that the players you're looking to target are probably the ones on screen. You've got like McAllister, midfielder, who's a little bit cheaper than Trossard, but Trossard's probably the one, even though he hasn't been great this season. I've got him, and I'm not feeling too confident with him, but I've got to keep him now. Like the double game week, I've highlighted it in green because I think double game week should always be green. But Man United away is not necessarily the easiest game, but they do have some fairly good fixtures afterwards. Burnley, Villa, Newcastle isn't that bad, especially the Burnley and Newcastle game. So I don't think it's that bad bringing them in for the double and then holding them afterwards. If we look beyond there, then again, a bit like Man United, I suppose, they got Liverpool, then Man City, which is not ideal. But then they got a game against Norwich. And if they're players that are cheap enough you can rotate, you could potentially hold on to them for a little bit longer. But of course, Trossard is just taking up a spot in midfield that, for my team, once game week 25 is done, I'm probably going to look to offload him. So I think for game week 25, we don't need to necessarily go too crazy. I think sometimes people are on opposite ends. Some people are like, double game weeks are overrated, you don't need to go for them at all. Other people are like, you need 3 from each team that are doubling. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. You want a double game week captain, I would say. If you can get a Man United defensive asset, just because they're fairly highly owned, and I think it's a fairly decent double, Southampton and Brighton at home, that's great. And then maybe 1 Brighton player, that's probably okay. You probably don't need to go more than that. One player I'm really looking to bring in myself, if I can fit it into my transfer plans, is Cucurella at 5.1 million. I love Lamptey, and if I knew that Lamptey was going to start both games 100%, then he would probably be the one I'd bring in, because I think he is a bit more attacking. But Cucurella has started every single game since he came to Brighton. There's no injury concerns. There's no kind of management of fitness like there is with Lamptey. So if you've got 0.6 million, he probably is the one to bring in. And like I said, after the double, Burnley, Villa, Newcastle, there potentially is clean sheets there as well. And he is attacking enough himself, maybe not quite to Lamptey's levels, but he's decent. I don't think I'd be bringing in Sanchez right now necessarily, but if you've got him, obviously that's good. Brighton will still have 2 games to rearrange after this at some point. Spurs at home, Man United away. One of the rumours was that they would have a double game week in 26. Whether that happens, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously you're not bringing in Brighton players necessarily this week. Maybe if you've got do a transfer where you've got a downgraded player and you can bring in like a Cucurella or something, then great. But they're not playing in game week 24, so keep that in mind. They do blank this week, which is one of the reasons they have got so many fixtures to rearrange. So I quite like Brighton as an option, but really, for me, it's Sanchez or Cucurella. If you've got Trossard, if you've got more pay, like I've got Trossard at the moment, you probably keep them. But I don't think I'd actively be looking to bring them into my teams. I think once you've got them, you're going to want to get rid of them super quick. So fixtures for the double are okay. Fixtures afterwards are okay. Cucurella looks pretty good. He's probably the one that I'm going to look to bring in. I don't think there's really too many other options from Brighton right now. Just some other thoughts. This, for people that don't have Salah and don't have it, basically I'm talking about people like me, don't have a setup where you can get Salah plus one Man United player, either Fernandes or Ronaldo, easily, right? So I could do it, I could sell Jota, I could sell Foden, but I don't really want to do that. Whether or not you get him straight back in or wait is going to be a difficult one. Now, Egypt are actually playing at the time I'm recording. By the time this video goes out, the match will be over. I'm pretty sure that Salah's going to play in game week 24 regardless. But obviously, I've been saying if he plays because it wasn't 100% guaranteed. But I'm sure he's going to be back for game week 24. I genuinely think if your only way to get Salah is to sell a Man United player, Fernandes or Ronaldo, like, this is the position I'm in. I'm probably going to risk not having him for game week 24, hoping that maybe he needs a bit of extra rest or something, or he's off his game or something like that, which I'm sure he won't be. Just risk it for one more week. Let Man United play the double where you're going to captain one of them anyway. Forget about people saying they're going to captain Salah. I don't think it's necessarily a bad choice, but people are going to... By the time game week 25 comes around, people are going to want to captain Man United players. Trust me. And then maybe get Salah back for game week 26 when he plays Norwich. So that is going to be a big question. Obviously, again, like other videos I've done this week, like the stream and fixture video, there's a long time until the next deadline, right? So things could change. But that is a big point. How easily can you get Salah without selling your Man United players? And if you don't have Man United players, how easy can you get Salah plus one of them, right? That's something to think about. For Wildcard, I'm going to do, if people want it, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to do a video about Wildcard. I don't think this necessarily changes too much. I don't think one extra double game week fixture really should change your opinion of whether you are going to wildcard or not. Obviously, if we get more rearrangements, more games rescheduled, then that's different. But right now, I don't think it changes too much. If you were thinking about wildcarding, this probably hasn't changed your thoughts. If you were thinking, I don't need to wildcard, this probably hasn't changed your thoughts either. Triple captain, I don't think is an option. At some point, Salah is going to get a double game week. That's easily saved for me, and there's going to be so many other double game weeks. We'll definitely get a chance to use that elsewhere. I don't think Fernandes or Ronaldo are that bad, given the fixtures they've got. But I don't think I'll be using it this week. Obviously, who do you want to captain in game week 25? I've already mentioned it a few times. People will want to captain Man United players. The sight of the double game week, the 2 games, forget what's happened with Dennis, forget what might happen with King. We're going to want to captain a Man United player. Figure out how you're going to get yours in, as well as all the other transfers you want to do. And obviously, you need to decide who you want longer term. So, obviously, Brighton, these are the fixtures. How many of these players do you want to keep after the double? And the same for Man United, right? They got a good 4 fixture run. But unless you're prepared to punt on a Langer or a Greenwood, the attackers, Ronaldo and Fernandes, are quite expensive. So how easy can you fit them in? So it might even involve, I've not really thought about my team too much yet, but I've already thought about a situation where maybe I get Salah in for this week and captain him, then swap him straight to Fernandes and have double Man United attack, which again, I know doesn't sound ideal. I completely get that. But for one double game week, maybe I could do it. And then buy Salah back the week after. It's a lot of transfers to use to get a player in and out. I think it's probably better just to risk not having him for game week 24, but it's something to consider. So that's my kind of initial thoughts and reactions to the double game week. I'm going to talk about my team in other videos. I'm going to do a wildcard video probably as well. If there's anything you want to see in particular, let me know in the comments below, because we've got a lot of time. I can produce some different stuff potentially. But if you have enjoyed that, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll catch you again soon.